I want to talk today about bipolar or mental illness in itself. Um, a lot of people don't understand about bipolar. They don't understand why a certain person acts the way they do. Why that person who was fine 2 seconds ago is now trying to attack them. Certain little things like that really confuses people, and they have all right to be concerned or wary of that person. And not many people know what it's like to be inside the head of someone with bipolar. And I just really wanted to kind of share what it was like, what it's like. Um, well, to start with, there's the manias. I think they're the best out of everything that there is in bipolar. It's the manias. It has to be the manias. The mania is a sort of high period, and to be honest, no drug can ever make you feel that good. I could take over the world. I could do anything on my manias. You want to spend, you've got these big ideas, start a business, go to college, do things that you would never really consider ever doing. And it's chemical, and when you're diagnosed with bipolar, or you haven't been diagnosed but you have it, and you have it if you have it, certain symptoms come up again and again. There's a cycle. If you look for it, sometimes you can see this cycle, sometimes you can't, sometimes you have to go get tested. I fall into the latter category. I've not been tested, but I know I have it, and and it's all chemical, and you start to wonder. I mean, it can be a real ruiner. It really can ruin a happy experience you've had, or a hyperactive experience, because you don't know if it's you or if it's just your brain. But the brain uses a lot more energy than the body has. So then, of course, like any up, there's a down, and the higher you go up, the harder you fall down, and then you go into the depression stage. And the depression stage can be very, very difficult for some, and this is the point where some bipolar people kill themselves. I've had a suicide attempt, and well, obviously I failed because I'm still here, thankfully. I was in a really bad place, and yeah. Well, in the depression, you get, as a person, you get deceitful. You start lying because you think everyone's lying to you. You become very paranoid. You become very wary of everyone. You never quite know if someone's telling you the truth. Relationships can be very hard to hold down, as well as jobs. Bipolar people tend to lie, steal, deceit, hurt, and sometimes they know they're doing it, sometimes they don't know they're doing it, sometimes they can't help it but do it. I mean, I have voices in my head personally. They're not bad voices. They've never done me wrong. They never hurt me. They never tell me to do bad things. So, until that day, I'm not going to get tested for something I don't see the point in getting tested for. And as I said, it is very hard to deal with, and you when you've got bipolar, you feel like a rainbow. You feel you're always a different color all the time. You're constantly changing. You're constantly from emotion to emotion, um, that's the hardest part, the emotions. I mean, most people, they get sad, they get happy, they get angry, and they get different things at different times. But someone who has bipolar, they're more likely to get every single emotion you could ever possibly feel or ever want to feel at once, and they can't cope. To be honest, could you cope with having every emotion you've ever wanted, ever had, ever never wanted at once, bombarding you constantly? I mean, of course it's going to make someone act out. Of course they're going to be confused. Some act well, some, well, work well with it better than others. I mean, it's not been unheard of. Some bipolar people um, strip down nude and start running all over the town. Sometimes happens, sometimes doesn't. I personally have never done this yet. And there is medication you go on, but it has serious side effects. I mean, you've got weight gain, you've got you become so, to counteract the mania, you become relaxed, but you can become so relaxed that you just don't want to get out of bed, and that's just not laziness, that's just basically tiredness. You literally just don't want to get out of bed. You can have all the energy in the world, but you just don't want to move. The voices go away. For me personally, the voices go away, and this is the worst part. You feel grey, you feel numb, you don't have emotion, you don't taste food, you can't smell things, you're living, you know you're living, but you also know that's about it, that's about all you're doing. You're not doing anything else but living, breathing, and that's about it. And this is what stops me from taking the medication, but I end up hurting a lot of people along the process, and I'm not proud of it. And sometimes I really wish I could stop what I'm doing, but I don't realise I'm doing it, and that's not some sort of shitty excuse. It's the truth. Sometimes I can't help it. I feel that I'm being normal. It's the other people around me who discover I'm not being normal in a sense. And they kind of tell me, either, I mean, my two best friends, well, two of my best friends, I could hit them, I could kick them, I could call them all kinds of names, I could tell them to go die in a hole, which I've done several times, and they just go, okay, fair enough, I can't, and they'll know I'll come back to them later and say, look, I'm really, really sorry, and they're fine with it. And but then you get people that you tell them to fuck off once, and you go tell them to go die in a hole, and they just don't want to know you. They just don't want to know you from then on. That can make relationships really hard. For me personally, to hold down, because I'm constantly changing, because I'm constantly never the same. They can get really kind of freaked out by this. They can kind of get really, really antsy, really sort of concerned, and then they break up because they want to feel safe, and they can't really feel safe from someone who's never the same. So yeah, I mean, this video was mainly just to get ideas off my thoughts off my chest. I might do another one later, but yeah, just wanted to let people know what it can be like in the head of someone who's mentally ill, like bipolar, schizophrenia. Oh, and one more thing, hallucinations. Some people with bipolar, like, for example, I mean, I'm only with my past experience. I sometimes get hallucinations, and sometimes, like getting high on any kind of drug, it can be good. Sometimes they're good, sometimes they're bad. I mean, I know for certain, one time, I was convinced that I was uh, flying, but I wasn't flying like a bird. I was just literally, I could see birds flying, and I could see people flying, um, and I wasn't drugged, I wasn't high, I was just normal, um, and you see things that aren't there, and that can be quite scary, seeing things that aren't there. But I go on a simple, basic medication, herbal stuff, and it allows me to do day-to-day things without harming anyone else or myself. I don't like driving, for example. God forbid hopefully I pass my test. And really, you know, so sometimes have some understanding for someone who's acting out in a way that's different. Don't just condemn them as being a freak or whatever, a retard. What they're not, right? They just need someone to understand. They need someone who's not going to bail on them at the last minute. So yeah, hope this video helps, and thanks for listening.